couple of weeks ago, I finished reading Get Your Shit Together by Sarah Knight. And over the last couple of weeks, I've implemented some of the key findings that I got from this book. And I've got to say that in terms of my productivity and my anxiety around feeling overwhelmed with too many tasks, it's been absolutely night and day. It really has made a huge difference. So I thought in this video I would share those key findings with you, the things that I implemented, in the hope that maybe it can help you as well. So Get Your Shit Together by Sarah Knight is basically a self-improvement book. I guess if you want a good summary of this book, you can read what's on the back, which is a no fucks given, no holds barred guide to living your best life, which is quite a claim, really. It's written by Sarah Knight, who's known as the anti-guru. And basically she's known as the anti-guru because she uses lots of swear words in her books and she uses very strange analogies. Like throughout this book, she was using an analogy between Alvin and the Chipmunks and Alvin, Simon, Theodore, and then the three personality types of human beings. It was a strange analogy, but respect to her, she continued it throughout the whole book and it worked, so that was cool. But throughout the book, she talks about the classic things, right? Breaking down your goals into smaller chunks, increasing your productivity and things like that. But none of this was the part that stuck with me. The part that stuck with me and the part that I've implemented is when she talked about 3 steps that you can take to feel less overwhelmed when you have lots of tasks, to get control of your tasks and therefore set yourself up for success. And those 3 steps are: learn to say no, delegate, and shift your focus away from your to-do list. So step 1 is to learn to say no. I think many of us, it's so easy for us to say yes to new tasks, especially if we're at work, for example, and we're trying to impress our boss or impress our team. Whenever a new task, an opportunity to do a task comes up, we put our name forward, and all this does really is just grows our to-do list until it becomes this unmanageable, unwieldy to-do list. But what's important to remember here is actually it's completely okay to say no to tasks. No one's going to think less of you. In fact, some people may even think better of you because it shows that you're prioritizing the key tasks, the tasks that are actually going to help, and not shifting your focus away to unnecessary tasks. Now, obviously, if it's an important task and it has high priority, then yeah, you need to say yes to it, you need to do it. But so often we're bombarded with tasks which actually really they're not important. And if you didn't do it, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Someone else would do it or people would forget about the task. So step 1, over the last couple of weeks, what I've been doing is I've just been saying no more often. When people come to me with tasks, I think through, is this worth doing? Is this actually going to help? And if it doesn't, then I politely say, no, don't have time for that right now. Really simple. So this in itself reduces my to-do list. And this moves on to step 2. And step 2 is to delegate, right? So whether you're at work or you're at home, you can find ways to delegate tasks to other people. So if you're at work, maybe it's your assistant, or maybe it's a colleague or a freelancer you find on Upwork or something like that. You find someone that you can give your tasks to. If you're at home, then maybe you give some chores to your partner, or you give chores to your children, or maybe even you hire in some help. You get a cleaner or whatever to help you out. Now, this is easier said than done because quite often we're worried the task won't be done to the standard that we normally do it to. The way past this is just trust. You need to trust that the task will be done. And although, yeah, it might not be at the same standard that you normally do, and you might not be completely happy with it, you can't let perfect get in the way of good. It's much better to let someone do this task for you, get that off your plate, and it not be quite perfect, than to make it perfect and do it all yourself. So far you've said no to more tasks, you've delegated tasks out, so all of this has reduced your to-do list down. And now what you're going to be left with is a much smaller to-do list, and also a to-do list with tasks which you need to do, probably ones which are a higher priority or a higher impact. And then this moves us on to step 3, shift our focus away from the to-do list. So we all have to-do lists, or at least we should all have to-do lists, right? So we keep track of what we need to do. But more often than not, these to-do lists have a nasty habit of just growing and growing, never getting any smaller, and they become completely unmanageable. We get worried about our to-do lists. It leads to procrastination and actually just worse performance. And this is why during the book, Sarah Knight talks about shifting your focus away from the to-do list and instead focusing on a must-do list. And basically you do this by getting your to-do list, and next to each of the tasks, you put down a time frame or a deadline, right? And then based on this, you select a few of those tasks which absolutely must be done today, and that becomes your new list. Okay, so for example, let's say you have a task to submit your tax return. Does it need to be done today? No. Okay, so it doesn't go onto the must-do list. What about go to the shops and buy a present for Mother's Day because Mother's Day is tomorrow, right? Yes, that probably is an urgent task you need to do, so that would go onto your must-do list. Now, this isn't just an excuse to put off doing tasks. You have to be honest with yourself and honest about the priorities that these have. But the great thing about doing this is you start off with a to-do list with maybe 10 to 15 tasks, and you end up with a must-do list of maybe 3 or 4 tasks, things that you can really focus in on. And when you've done them, it will give you a real sense that you've actually accomplished something, because these are the things you must do. And what's even better is that if you do finish this must-do list and you still have some more time, you can always go back to your to-do list and do some extra tasks. And this makes it feel like you've gone above and beyond. You've done what you had to do, but you've done even more, which will make you feel even better, even more productive, and even more successful. I think another cool reason that this is useful is because quite often when we look at our to-do lists and we pick tasks to do, we quite often choose tasks which we want to do, or at least tasks which are the easiest ones to do. We put off those difficult tasks. By having a must-do list, you don't have that opportunity. You just have 3 or 4 tasks, right? No choice, I have to do this. So what you're basically doing is you're prioritizing your to-do list based on deadlines. So to summarize, you start off with a massive to-do list, which most of us are in that situation. You learn to say no so that less new tasks are coming into your to-do list. You then learn to delegate, so you pass across some of these tasks to other people, shrinking down your to-do list. And then from there, you prioritize based on deadlines to create a must-do list. And then that gives you your tasks for the day. As I say, 3 things which I've heard about before, but to be honest, I've never put into a 3-step plan. And that's what I've done over the last couple of weeks. And as I say, it's made a huge difference to my anxiety around feeling overwhelmed with tasks, my productivity, things like that. So I would recommend you try this out. And if you want to read this book, then I would recommend that as well. It was a really interesting read. So yeah, with that being said, I hope that was helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you liked the video. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you in the next video.